still see me okay. We're going to do the February reading. We're getting through it. Patrons get ad-free first access, and you can feel free to check out the merchandise, my online courses, the book. Otherwise, let's get right into it, Scorpio. So I'm an intuitive reader. It's divine guidance and loving clarity is my intention with tarot. I do offer private readings. Again, all the info's in the description. Scorpio, divine guidance, loving clarity for February 2024. 2024. Moving into the month, working really hard. You're probably focused on your work project. It's you focusing on that. Divine guidance, loving clarity for Scorpio. What are the divine messages? So we're working hard. There's this Empress and King of... So there is a situation, a love situation in the reverse. It could be, Scorpio, that you're having to really focus on your own creative juice, your own creative flow, your own Venusian energy, your own love energy. There was a message at one point of like being at a distance or not feeling as empowered within the dynamic, and or your partner isn't feeling super forthcoming, isn't feeling, as in like it might be your partner that's going through a wobble. There's a King of Wands in the reverse. We can always do what we like with the genders. So yeah, it could be that you're having to stand really strong and kind of hold the zone because your counterpart, your partner, because this to me would be an established bond. It's two people, and then there's a Two of Cups reverse, and it just feels like you're going, well, I mean, straight up, if you're working really hard, it could be that you're focused really hard on your work and or on a project, and not focusing so much on the relationship, right? Maybe they're feeling that a little bit. Divine guidance, love, and clarity. Let's get some more clarity in the read. This is for February. Interesting. There's 3 8s, and now you have all 4 8s. So there is, I always see when I'm seeing double triple of the numbers, and there's Empress, there's no other major arcana though. So straight up, Scorpio, there is heartache, there's walking away, there's fast firing messages, there's back and forth, there's also clear communication that's going to liberate you from a situation where you maybe felt trapped. I'm hearing that song when I look at that Three of Swords. I'm hearing that song, "Don't Go Breaking My Heart." I don't even know if that's the lyrics, but that's what I'm hearing. So this is definitely a matter of the heart, right? I want to get some clarity for that Three of Swords. I mean, simply, sorry to say in a way, but there could be communication that is revelatory or revealing, and also a bit heartbreaking. Because there's a release, there's a Eight of Cups, there's somebody walking away from a situation, there's the heartbreak energy, there's communication, revelation, and again, already a little bit of a turbulence or distance or lack of care, maybe. Empress is reigning supreme, and whoever is working really hard within the situation is full of life and full of vitality, and the other person not so much. So there could be, again, a release, somebody walking away from a situation. It's almost like there could be something going on behind the scenes that you or the other person can't see. The Moon card in the reverse, I'm thinking of like shades and shadows. When I look at this card, I'm really noticing these like tentacles. which makes me think of like that, those energetic tentacles that we don't see with the physical eye, but they're there. And so there's something, so it might look one way on the surface, but behind the scenes, it's not that way. You know, you might be looking at other options, or thinking of other things, or they might be. Then there's the communication, the revelatory communication that finally comes, that again, as much as it's painful, there is a kind of release or a liberation, because 8 of Swords would have us trapped in our mind, right? And there is a sense of course, like there's definitely melancholy with heartbreak, and there's when we have to walk away from things, it can often just be upsetting, right? But then I look down here, there's a new beginning, there's new ideas, there's a fresh start. And again, I often like to put it in the context of that can always be within the same dynamic, but a version of that dynamic is dying, or a version of how we're showing up within that dynamic is dying. And maybe it's the way we communicate. Yep, maybe it's the way we kind of express ourselves. There's that kind of newness coming through Bosch, and then there's an Emperor. So if there's been trouble, a lack of alignment, or a lack of juju, or something of sorts, there's going to be some hard-hitting conversations. There's going to be possibly some painful stuff that comes out, or stuff that can be painful for us to hear or ingest or speak to, right? There can be pain, but then there's this letting go. There's the 4, I really feel this sort of infinity, 8, 8, 8, 8. There's this sort of stability and infinity loop. So there's some cycles completing and cycles beginning. And then see, what we have is one form of a love on a certain level not working, right? One person not fully committed, one person not able to really show up in the way that meets the Empress mode, right? Because whatever it is, this is your card for this reading. This is you working really hard on something within your dynamics, within very likely love this is speaking to. There's an Empress energy. You're focusing on that. You're focusing on your creative energy. You're really bringing it to the fore. And maybe it's one of those situations where maybe you're maybe there's some success coming in, and it like makes your partner jealous or makes them feel right. That's what I mean about distance. Doesn't necessarily have to be physical. It can be emotional. It can be, communicative wise, like we're not meeting no matter how close proximity we are. And so what I have here is, like, again, hashing it out, communication, talking through communication, like working through messaging back and forth, and possibly having some painful moments. These are always regenesis type of experiences, though, right? Bringing new perspective and new beginning. So what I always like to say is that if this is really not the match, if this is really not an appropriate, if it's not an appropriate love dynamic, you might cut and go your own way, because you're kind of in a singular feel. Even if you're in a connection, you're really working hard and maybe focusing on yourself. And then communication can either prompt you or the partner to kind of go your own ways. Like, I think that's appropriate, right? Or what's going to happen is that the other person that is also going through a transformation that's going to be up leveled to find, and or a new person that is more appropriate is on the cards, right? Let's get a little bit more for clarity here. That card keeps on coming out. There's definitely some emotional turbulence coming through here as far as stuff that needs to be discussed. First, for a lot of you, I just feel like you're really wanting to feel like sunshine, to feel really good about who you are. You're focusing on your work. You're like, I'm hearing something about winning, like wanting to win, wanting to... There's a lot of ideas coming out of you, a lot of ideas coming out of you. I'm also getting a sense of self-care, looking after your body, looking after your spine. Looking at healthy spine is a healthy mind, my lovers. For some of you, there's something about speaking. It's like, maybe it's also like when you're in that singular work orientation, you can really focus and let different ideas flourish in your mind and then speak in them into life. Or even as a speaker, like speaking them because the stones is physical, so it's like the act of speaking. The trees is making me think of stuff we express out there, and or like ideas that grow from within us. I also get a sense too of letting things flow, letting things blossom. I get a feeling from the Six of Rivers, letting things come to you a bit as well. Letting things flow, letting things blossom, letting things come to you. Such a focus on relationships, Scorps. My Scorpio lovers. Because I looked at Juno there. This it's a even though again, that first card is you really focusing on your work, working at it, maybe not focusing, but on the back of your mind, or whatever astrological transits are happening, and or the collective that tunes into this reading, you're focused on love. And this reading certainly is a focus on those that are in an established bond that's not flowing or gelling, or one person feels trapped. You're again, behind the veil, there's a lot of sort of creative expression or stuff that you're wanting to flow and wanting to come out, sense of wanting to feel really contained, really anchored into your, maybe your spiritual practice or your creative practice. But within your romantic, sexual relationship, there's something going on behind the veil, whether it's you or the other person, I wouldn't know. But then there's this manifestation of an emperor energy to match the empress. So it's almost like you're pioneering a kind of up level in your life, in your career, maybe, or even just your essence of self within your working life. And you're wanting more from your relationship, maybe. Or the other person just isn't showing up. Like I say about the distance, they're not communicating, and it's feeling a bit trapped to you, and you're feeling trapped, like not sure. So communication is the key to unlock the mystery, as it were, of the situation. And it's also going to liberate you to make that decision. That decision could mean that the whole situation up levels, so that we have an emperor and empress, and you renew your love with this existing person. Or this situation is not meant for you and you release it. There is a walking away, right? You release it. There could be a bit of heartbreak or heartache, but then there's this emperor energy, right? So there's an energetic alignment of an emperor and an empress, which would be a more suitable partnership to this Empress and King of Wands reverse, with the Two of Cups in the reverse. Maybe because within that rising, the Empress energy isn't quite vibrating, especially King of Wands in the reverse would mean somebody not as bold, somebody that likes to maybe pretend to be powerful or something, or they like hang around with powerful people, but they're not necessarily creating or harnessing that creative energy effectively in their lives, right? That's why they're in the reverse. And the Empress here is holding the space, right? That's why I'm saying they're still together, but there's a lot to hash out. There's a lot of communication stuff, possibly revelatory information that can unlock a mystery or unlock a sense of imprisonment within the situation. And then again, this is like, I want to win. It's like a shifting gears of like, I want to win at this thing. I want to get good at it. I want to, excitement. There's something that excites you outside of your romantic relationship. If even interesting reading, Scorpio, if even it's like your own ability to focus, then it's that work. I'm vibing it like that, Scorpio, for you. I don't know, this month, confidence, positive focus, confidence, positive focus. Those are the two energies, working hard. And then all this kind of, potential glow up energy. The Emperor and the Empresses are, to me, abundant cards, right? The potential to really create something you want to create, the potential to have everything you could ever possibly want and need, to truly rise into being the full creator of your own reality. There can be a bit of austerity in the Emperor, kind of control. But with the Empress, there's a really nice balanced state of being. And it might require discomfort and debilitation. So it might require stepping out of your comfort zone a bit, right? Or trusting the process when we're in debilitated kind of cycles, meaning everything might on the surface look fine, but internally we're like, yeah, right? So there's something going on in the skies or within our own psyche that is shifting, which makes our experience feel uncomfortable or debilitated on some level. That's why it's almost like a default for you to maybe withdraw a bit and like just work a lot, or it's a main focus, but there's a lot going on behind the scenes for you. And all these eight, some loop or cycle, maybe you're becoming more aware of a pattern or a cycle that you are ready to walk away from. Which, remember, the way I know this is maybe a detached perspective, but I sometimes will go into this perspective of like, even the sadness or the release when we're having to walk away from certain relationships or walk away, it's sort of like that love that was within the dynamic is true and is real and is eternal to a sense. But many times what we're walking away from is a form of being that unlocked parts of us within that relationship, but then other parts of us are having to die. And so um, it's all interwoven kind of within that relationship, and that ideally both people grow and learn in their relationships, right? But that we're not hooked into a fantasy that a good relationship should last a certain amount of time, or a good relationship lasts forever, a bad relationship ends. You know, I think we're evolving beyond that kind of stark or black and white reality or projection, right? Yeah. Now I'm looking down at this North Node card. So yeah, it's typical, it's classic. If a relationship's not really vibrating well or going in a direction or truly not meant to be, it's like there's just like this underlying maybe either dissatisfaction or feeling trapped or feeling limited. And then that North Node energy is like our future. It's like we're our spirit. Our unique spirit is our own, right? And that's where our shape-shifting or open-mindedness around the framework of the idea of marriage or relationship on lots of levels, how and why that could continue to change as we embody more of that, sovereignty and spiritual essence within our personal lives. However that looks is completely unique for all of us, right? But there is a shift for you around going, I'm seeing this and I'm seeing that, right? No longer, there's something shifting. You're like, whoa. And it could have to do with the way you relate in romantic ways. So that is finally a freedom break. You're like, oh my God, okay, I'm seeing it now. I don't want to relate like that. I want to be in reciprocal relationships. I want to be in reflective relationships, right? And I guess on some level, you're wanting to be in a type of dynamic where you feel there's a future. Hence the positive focus. Especially, we know this too, it can be hard to let go of dynamics when they're nice. But there might be something deeper going, this is nice, but there's more learning. And essentially it's almost like a lesson or a module of life where we learn a certain amount from certain people, and then once the learning is complete, as nice as things are on the surface, souls are ready for more. And again, even though one might initiate it or the other, usually a lot of us could look back at situations and go, even if whether we did the breaking up or whether we got broken up with, it's both are difficult. And hopefully, if in time, both people can look back and be forgiving and be loving and respect the learning and the growth that we can absorb, acquire through these very intimate dynamics, right? Like it's something that is resounding for me is the perhaps sometimes flippantness with regards to sex, as it were, and yet, in a very real way, realities like these are the most intimate, you know there's on a physical, very physical plane, like you can't really get more intimate than that, right? So it would make sense with more self-awareness and or self-respect and or love within self that it becomes a sacred exchange that we don't just kind of throw around or abuse. However, as a collective, I have ever so much compassion and total non-judgment for the fact that it's part of the learning, as in getting into toxic or dark. It's even just tapping slightly into those sort of memories. I I'm thankful for the learning, and as in the waves and memories when they do resurface, it's okay to kind of just be with that discomfort, debilitation. But through that level of awareness, you can make better choices for yourself that don't restir the pot, certainly. Hopefully, ideally, right? That's the point of healing, doing the shadow work and healing these deeper layers of trauma, is that it really is, in a sense, miraculous, because you just continue to shift and morph. And even when you're not, a high vibe or like maybe making the best choices, you just have love and acceptance for yourself. So I guess maybe you could say the polarity or the extremity of distortion isn't so extreme and intense, right? I don't know. I think I'm speaking very much from some personal experience, and yet maybe it's relevant to some of you. It's like, these spiritual practices that are more, speaking of the middle way, which, for a lot of us, that looks a certain way in our lives, as far as even things like substance abuse and relationship or relating. It's like as you grow, you're less tolerant of certain extremes, and so you just don't engage with it. One more card for Scorpio. Whoa, Scorpio! I've never gotten all these 8s before. Now I'm looking for more. I'm like, are there any others? No, but another 8. And I must say, I do love this card. Ordinariness. Oh, God. It, like, even just like feeling into this card, it makes me feel peaceful. And I sometimes come back to this energy. It's like a simplicity, connecting with the simplicity of nature, which again is in connection to all this talking about healing of trauma and the stresses and the impact and the etc. All of these healing modalities and breath work and it's all pointing to us healing our nervous system, which gives us a heck of a better chance of healing the mind, of healing the heart, of right, opening the field so that more of us can live in harmony with nature. Because increasingly I find the whole projection of grandiosity and celebrity and higher and lower and important people and less important people, like that is annoying. It's like we all just, and entitlement and ignorant privilege and or those, like, it's all, you're like, no, stop that now. We like, as in, to me, to love and be in true joyful essence in this planet, it doesn't all that stuff doesn't matter, however, still, as we bridge the gap, I'm fully aware, yeah, no, although I'm super duper lucky once again to be at a point in my life where there's that, stability, because we have to even anchor our 3D lives to be ideally going through a phase where we've got everything's covered bills wise, we're not stressing out about the monies, we're not having any big huge conflict or disruption in our families and friends, and things are fairly steady. And then within that, and this is from direct experience, but like then if slowly, and I'm astounded by actually the amount of time it takes, the nervous system, the body mind slowly heal and come back to center, and there's just more love and acceptance. It doesn't, again, there's no grandiosity. However, Scorpio, back to you, my lovers. You're working hard, possibly going through a glow up. If there is a dynamic that's not working, probably going to have revelatory information that helps you complete that cycle. Or if it's meant to be, it's going to go through a kind of recycling, regenesis, and eventually be in a higher dynamic, all through the power of just living your beautiful life, embracing. Like, this makes me think of, I'm sure a friend of mine recently talked about this, like just sunsets. I'm thinking of like that dreaminess of just lying in a field with the sun on your skin, and there's like a few flowers around, and you know, like mega peaceful vibratory. It's like, even like, she's picking flowers, just enjoying the simplicity of life. All right, that's your reading, Scorpio. Holla Shazam. I hope that you enjoyed that. I gotta sort the light out. I think it's time to get the lights back on flow. The darkness is taking over. Okay, have a great month of February, Scorpio. Look forward to seeing you guys in the dailies, in the weeklies, and certainly for the next month ahead, March 2024. Let me know if that resonates with you guys, and otherwise, feel free to book a private reading and look after yourselves. Take care. Peace out.